there. This is Shae Spitz with Business Unscripted. I am here with Jenna Clark, and we are going to be talking about SeneGence Cosmetics. I may have pronounced that incorrectly,
Hey,
but
I think you did good. I think you did
it's a little
great.
complicated. But yeah, so okay, so Jenna, tell me a little bit about your business right now.
Sure. So I have the pleasure of working for SeneGence International. We sell
Hmm.
skincare and cosmetics. It is something that I never thought I would do. I went to
Okay.
school to be a teacher and a social worker and just help all the people that needed it.
Hmm.
And I found myself 10, 12 years after direct service, like just needing something fun in my life
Hmm.
again. And I have
Hmm.
two boys, and I was like, well, it's not
Hmm.
much happening here other than cars and trucks and fights. So
Yes.
I found this makeup line. It started with lip sense. You've
Hmm.
probably heard of
Oh
lip sense,
yes. Oh
right?
yeah.
And I was like, hey, I kind of like this makes me feel good.
Hmm. Hmm.
Shared it with some friends, and I was like,
Hmm.
maybe this is something I can do just on the side
Hmm.
to earn a little extra money. We really wanted to take the kids to Disney World, so I just
Hmm.
started a little, something on the side.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I fell in love with
Yeah.
just the whole business structure,
Mhm.
with helping people in a different way. It
Yes.
wasn't so heavy. I mean,
Mhm.
we're talking
Mhm.
makeup and skincare.
Mhm.
So it's really been a joy. So yeah,
Yeah.
here 6.5 years later, I'm doing this full time, traveling across the United
That's
States
awesome.
to train other women on how to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long did it take you to go full time doing that?
About 2 years.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of quick,
Yeah. Yep.
but
I'm
I
sure at the
just,
time it didn't feel very quick. Well,
yes,
I don't know. I guess you probably didn't even have intentions of going full time necessarily.
I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I just, because I was working what I considered to be my dream job at Columbus
Mhm.
High as a school
Mhm.
social worker. It's what I always wanted to do.
Mhm.
But when this started taking off, I just looked at my husband one night and I was like, here's the deal. I'm really enjoying this. It
Yeah.
feels good. It's fun.
Yeah.
I'm making some money.
Yes.
um,
Yes.
so we just kind of made a pact together and said,
Yeah.
okay, the next 6 months, go hard, do all the
Uh-huh.
things. You know
Mhm.
what? If the house is messy, it's messy. If we eat
Mhm.
more frozen pizza and fast food,
Mhm.
we do. And then we
Yeah.
will reassess.
Yeah.
And that's what we
Yeah.
did. And here we are.
That is so did you hit that goal of 6 months?
Well, I hit the goal of 6 months knowing, yes, this is what
Yeah.
I want to do, and what changes are we going to need to make within our family
Mhm.
structure to
Mhm.
make this doable, right?
Mhm.
Because as a busy mom, I
Yeah.
mean, there's not a lot of extra time.
Mm-mm.
So we just came together, and he's a busy teacher and coach and all the things.
Mhm.
So we just
Mhm.
figured it out. And then about a year later is when I realized I could do this full time
That
and have
is
the flexible schedule.
yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
been such a blessing to our family for
Yeah.
many, many reasons.
And I think everybody getting into entrepreneurship is they think, oh, flexible. I mean, flexible hours, more free time. When in
Mm,
reality, you don't have a ton of more free time. You just have a little bit more flexibility when it comes to that. But you do have to make sacrifices like evenings and weekends and nights and middle of the nights, early mornings. I mean, that's kind of what, in order for it to work for you, especially as a mom too, you have to, yes, you have flexible hours, but especially starting out until you can get to the point where you can like finally start to scale back once you put the people in the right places. It is I mean it's a grind.
it
It is
is.
a grind.
And I'm so
And
glad you brought that up, because I
mhm.
think there's this misperception out there that, the entrepreneur works on her phone by the pool. I'm like,
Mhm.
well, maybe 2 hours a year,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
you said, I work just as much, if not more,
Yeah. I would say more.
but I have the flexibility to work
Yeah.
when I want, on what
Mhm.
I want. So
Mhm. Mhm.
it's
And you
really,
enjoy what you work.
yes.
So my husband gives me a lot of crap. He's like, you need to find a hobby. Like for me, real estate is my hobby. So I don't feel that I need to find a hobby, which I don't know
Mhm.
if you have other hobbies or if, this whole business is your hobby.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how you feel
It's pretty
too?
much it.
Mhm.
Besides, binging some reality TV
Yep.
and following my children around to all their activities,
Mhm.
I feel fulfilled with what I
Yes.
have been able to do.
Mhm. Mhm. That's absolutely amazing. So, when you and your husband were kind of talking about, okay, let's figure out a time frame or, let's get committed. Did you what did that kind of look like? Did you say you need to make this much money or did you say because ultimately you cannot go 100% unless you are truly doing it 100% and not working somewhere else. You know what I mean? So, I
Correct.
mean, what did that look like for you guys? Was it a certain income? Was it a certain amount of hours you were
Mhm.
dedicating? What was that like?
So during that 6-month time period, it was really me working before I went to work and after the kids went to bed. So we
Mhm.
as a couple didn't really have time. I worked on the weekends, but I didn't want to sacrifice that time as a mom either.
Yes.
Um, but then once, I started looking ahead at what this could be, we
Mhm.
made the decision, once I'm making from my SeneGence business,
Mhm.
what I'm making full time in my other business,
Oh
I
wow.
then gave myself permission. Well, not that I needed his permission,
Yeah.
but I got the high five.
You
Like,
wanted to make
yes,
sure he felt
yes,
like he
comfortable
had yep, a
because
say.
neither of us come from
Mhm.
families of entrepreneurs, and we were,
Mhm.
you know, went to college to work 8 to
Mhm.
5.
Mhm.
It was a different way of thinking
Mhm.
and budgeting and all of those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
But once I made enough money that it would cover our bills, we were not in, a scary place.
Mhm.
I just said, okay, I'm going all in, and
Mhm.
now setting new goals
Yeah.
to now help others and to give back to the community, because that
Mhm.
is something that's super important to
Yeah.
me. Like, I needed a
Yeah.
way to still serve others and
Mhm.
give back to so many different nonprofits, and so that was then my next goal.
Yes. Yeah. And I think I that's what I love probably most about this entrepreneurial I guess, career is
Mhm.
that giving back to the community financially, volunteering, and then even when you have your own business, you get to the point where you almost don't have the time to volunteer. That you're like, here, just take my money. Like I want to help. I love to help, and sometimes, most times, a lot of the nonprofit organizations almost want the bodies, not the money.
Mhm.
But at the same
Mhm.
time, it's one of those things that sometimes we don't have the time to be able to do that. And I think these other people get this misconception that if you're an entrepreneur, oh, you have all the time in the world. Oh, can you just come help me do this? Can you just no, like
Mhm.
I just because I don't have like a set schedule to be somewhere. I mean, it is a grind every single day and it's a struggle at times.
Mhm.
And I know your business had taken off pretty early on. But are you seeing like an even bigger like influx of your business going on now that you're at level 5 or year 5, year 6?
Yeah, in some ways I feel like I've kind of like, oh, I've
Mhm.
stabilized, like I know what I need to do to remain consistent, to do the work I need to do and that I want
Mhm.
to do. But then in other ways, like what you're saying, it's like, so now I'm being asked to go train in another state or to go
Mhm.
help with this. And
Mhm.
so you kind of feel pulled in other ways,
Yes.
which in some ways is difficult. In other ways, it's such a great opportunity to
Yes.
stretch, to do new things, to help
Mhm.
others. So
Mhm. Well, and I think the reason that it's just so chaotic at the beginning is because you just don't know what to do. You're
100%.
trying anything and everything. So you try this, okay, well that didn't really work out. So then you're like, okay, let me do this or this and this, and you're trying to do so many different things at
Mhm.
once, and you're trying to figure it out. Well, now you're at the point where you got the basics figured out. You got the idea of what you need to do to breathe. And
Yes.
then now you do have a little bit more free time to be able
Mhm.
to go train and do these things, and they always say discipline is freedom. So if you
Mhm.
put in that hard work and you make something become a habit, it becomes a discipline, and it
Mhm.
does truly free up your time. And I don't know if you've noticed that, or if you can kind of resonate with that.
Yes. I mean, I've had some recent health issues over the last couple of years. And when
Hmm.
I look back, I am so incredibly grateful that I pushed as hard as I did for
Hmm.
those years when it was crazy and I had no idea what I was doing and
Hmm.
made lots of mistakes. But I always say, like, you pedal hard during seasons where you really want to make up some ground, you want to do
Yeah.
something so that you can coast a little
Yep.
when a season arrives, when
Yeah.
life throws something your way,
Yeah.
and it allows you that freedom to do that.
Hmm.
And then it's like, okay, I'm ready to pick up again, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So,
Yes. What do you think is the biggest struggle for people who, are thinking about going on their own to do something that they love? What do you think stops them from doing that?
fear. Fear in so many ways, but most of
Mhm.
all, I think we are so hard on ourselves, and well, I don't know that I could do what she does, or I
Mhm.
don't know, we just stop ourselves
Mhm.
from even taking that first step a
We're
lot
our
of
own worst
times.
enemies, aren't we?
Yes, yes.
Mhm. Yeah. So fear, I've heard false evidence appearing real, or false something. I'd have to think about it. So fear is false
I
evidence
mean, it sounds
appearing
good to
real. I
me,
think maybe
right?
that's what it is. So like you think that like your fear is just your mind telling you that you're going to fail. Your mind saying,
Mhm.
"Nope, I'm not going to be able to do this." It's nothing that's really what's going to happen. It's just your mind is putting you in a position that you don't think you're going to be able to succeed. But
Yes.
if you believe you can succeed, anything is possible. But it
Yes.
starts with
A
you, the
hundred
individual.
percent. Yes. And
Yeah.
I tell ladies all the time, I'm like, listen, if I can do this with no background in any of this,
Yeah. Yeah.
you can do this. You
Yeah.
don't have to know all the things,
No.
just start.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't care how long you've been in business. I mean, you're never going to know everything because
No.
this world is constantly changing at such a rapid pace
Hmm.
that to know everything and anything is impossible. It is
Yes.
absolutely impossible. So you just have to be open to the fact that you are willing to learn and that you don't know everything. Because if you have that mindset that you know everything, you're not going to grow. You won't.
Nope. And people, I think, don't feel as comfortable with someone who maybe appears to have
Mm-hmm.
it all together all the
Yeah.
time. It's like, well, I can't do that. So,
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. So I can kind of relate to you with the whole social background because I
hmm
did the same thing, and I think it's interesting that you said, you always knew that you wanted to do something to help other people. So that's how I always felt. So I felt, well, then what better way than to go into social? Mine was human service counseling, but social
hmm
work of some sort, because then you're
yes,
you're helping people one on one. And I was kind of the same way. I was just like, I mean, I love helping people, but I wasn't feeling it. So then you found a different passion, and you're helping people too now, just in a completely different
yes,
way, in a way that you love it. And if you
hmm
love it and you are passionate about it, you are going to be able to help other people way more.
yes. And I love, helping others looks different for all of us,
Mhm.
but it almost doesn't matter what it is as long as you're passionate about it, you can
Mhm.
make that happen.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
love that you have found that way to, pivot, and you're
Yes.
cuz I can see the passion when you talk
Yeah.
about things, and
Yeah.
your eyes kind of light up,
Yeah.
which our listeners can't see right
Yeah.
now, but they can probably hear it in your voice.
Yeah.
And that's
Yep.
the beauty of it.
Yeah, it is. It is. So tell me where your business is at today.
Well, we are doing very well.
Okay.
So
Who's
my
we? I want to know who's
Okay,
we.
so let me pull back a little bit.
Okay.
So when some people hear the word SeneGence International, they might like bristle a little bit because
Okay.
it's a direct selling company,
Uh-huh.
which typically kind of have gotten a bad rap because a lot of companies have done that in like a yucky way.
Mhm.
Well, I'm here to tell you, when it's done the right way,
Yes.
it's incredible. And in
Yeah.
fact, we just found out last month that they are going to start direct selling business courses in college based on SeneGence International
Okay.
because we're doing it right.
Yeah.
And that is incredible. So,
Mhm.
all that to say, I have
Mhm.
my own personal business that I get to work with hundreds of women all across the United States, get them, color matched and help them with
Mhm.
good basic skincare routines,
Mhm.
all of that. And then I also have an organization of women all across the world who I then have the privilege to teach how to do the same thing.
Mhm.
So just kind of like you do with real estate,
Mhm.
it's like, here,
Mhm.
let me show you how I do this.
Mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, we are, I get so embarrassed to say it. I'm too bashful,
Oh
but
gosh, no.
number two in the entire world.
That is absolutely
And
amazing.
we have put Nebraska on the map. Every time we go to events, or like, there are the Nebraska girls. Like, they just,
So the Nebraska women are number 2 in the world for SeneGence. Is
well,
that what you
not
mean? Or I guess
quite, but
what does that mean?
a lot of my team is
Uh-huh.
here in Nebraska. I mean, we
Okay.
are your everyday moms, your empty nesters, your teachers, your nurses
Mhm.
who just wanted to do something else on the
Mhm.
side.
Mhm.
And I would say about 80 to 90% of my team are what I call dual distributors, that they have full-time jobs and they're doing this on the
Mhm.
side for an
Mhm.
extra stream of income,
Yeah.
or just for something fun
Yeah.
because they enjoy it, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Well, first of all, I would love to say that don't ever be embarrassed about that. That is
Thanks.
nothing to be embarrassed about. You have to promote that. You put that
Yes.
out there and you basically wear it on your sleeve because that is an honor and it
Well,
is nothing to be embarrassed about because I mean, we here at our office, we've been number one here in Columbus for quite a while. We're growing
mhm.
with kwElite nationwide. So it's nothing to be embarrassed about because there's a reason you're at the level that you're at. You know,
Mhm.
you've worked hard, you have put in the hours, you've put in the sweat, the equity
Mhm.
on top of being a mom, being a wife. Because really, being a wife is probably almost harder than being a mom because you have
Eh,
to keep that relationship
yes,
and
you
it is
do.
hard. It
Mhm.
really is. Because once you're married, it's not like, oh, you're just married happily, you know, and they lived, you know, happily ever
Mhm.
after like they do in fairy tales. It is
Right.
a constant grind as well. And you know, and on top of, you know, like the health issues that you said.
Mhm.
So it is something that you need to be very proud of
Well,
and
thank
honored.
you.
Yes.
And
So
I
don't ever
think
be
thank
embarrassed.
well, maybe just, once a month I'll
Just
just send
toot
out a
your own
text and be
horn.
like,
Yeah.
"Okay, go ahead, Shae." Just remind me.
That's right.
But hearing you talk about the spouse, that goes back to something you said earlier that I think is so important as an entrepreneur. Your schedules look different. Your work habits look different. So
Mhm.
I really had to be careful and mindful about how much I'm on my phone,
Yes.
whether it's at the dinner table
Yes.
or on the couch at night once the
Mhm.
boys have gone to bed. Like
Mhm.
finding what works for both of you, I feel
Yeah.
like is so important.
It is, and it takes a while. It
Hmm.
takes a while to find that out, and you're still gonna always, especially because like you got to the point where you're pretty comfortable. Well, now you're starting to grow more, you know.
Hmm.
So then it picks back up. You're gonna be on your phone at different hours of the day. You're gonna
Yes.
be you're gonna have to. It is a big commitment, and it's
Hmm.
frustrating for the spouse who is not a self-employed contractor, an independent contractor, because they don't understand that. Fortunately, I've been fortunate that my husband now understands that because he went out on his own and he does real estate, land sales on his own.
Mm.
But still, there's that constant battle of, and your husband, he does coaching, right?
Yes.
So you got it's like one of those things, like, hey, you are, you know, home, or you're doing practices, you have games, evenings, so
Yes.
it's kind
It's
of the same thing,
similar.
but
Yes.
yeah, but he's actually gone. So, you know, like
Yep.
he's physically gone. You're just maybe mentally not
Which,
quite there.
yes, which sometimes is helpful. It's like, well,
Yes.
when when you're gone, I know
Hmm.
you're not here and you're working. So that's
Yes.
something we've had to have those
Yeah.
conversations about,
Hmm.
like, okay, I'm here tonight,
Yeah.
but I need to work this evening.
Yeah.
But tomorrow I plan to,
Yeah.
be done when the boys get home.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing is like, especially when you're home with the kids, because we really don't get that much time with our kids, you
Mm-mm.
know, and I have to remind myself of that too, is try to put your phone down, especially when your kids are home, and give them, be purposeful and be intentional of what you're doing. When you're working, be intentional. You're working. When you're home, you know, people always ask me, how do you balance everything? Most days, I'm sure you probably feel the same way that you feel like you don't. You're like, I think you can relate just
I
by
noticed,
that
yes.
expression on my face. Like you just can relate that it's just you feel like you don't, but it's almost like cohabitating is just making it all work together. I don't know. Have you ever had like you have boys, so you can't quite do it, but like with I mean, have you ever had them try some of the skincare routine? Have you ever done anything like that?
So, well, first of all, my oldest is 15, so he could
Oh,
not care less about anything that I do in life.
yeah, I'm sure not. I'm looking forward
Except
to those
that,
years.
I give him drive and money
Yeah.
for the movies. But
Yep.
we really do try to do things together as a family.
Mhm.
Every quarter I'll do a big sale, and the boys will help write the thank yous or they will
Mhm.
help to package the orders.
Mhm.
Patrick has gone live with me several times with some
Yes.
fun, just, he'll be the arms and putting makeup on me. So we try to do what we
Yeah.
can to make it a family
Yes.
business
Mhm.
because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
it is our family business.
Yes.
So yeah, I try to pull them in as I'm able, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, they help me pack up when I go do vendor events and
Mhm. And I think that's the biggest thing is not you don't want to have like work life balance. You kind of want to I mean you need to have that too, but you also want
mhm,
to bring them into your business too because you want everybody to be a part of your business because like you said it is a family business. It really is.
mhm,
Because you do need that support and it's really hard when somebody maybe doesn't have that support. But it's still doable. If you still believe and you don't have that support, you might need to find a new support system.
Yes.
as hard as that may be. But I
Mhm.
mean, is that something that you can kind of agree with? Because you do need
Yes.
that support. It can still be done. You can still start it. But ultimately, if you constantly have somebody who's just nagging at you against it, it'll bring you down, and you're going to have to either figure that out or, find a different support system.
Yeah, and I feel like that could be almost a whole podcast in and of itself because
Mhm.
whether it's your direct, like who you're living with right now, or
Mhm.
family or close friends,
Mhm.
it's inevitable that there
Mhm.
might be someone who isn't as supportive,
Mhm.
and that is very difficult. And I think as women, something that's really hard for us because most of us are people pleasers and we
Yeah.
want to make everyone else happy and do all
Mhm.
the things. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, we all deserve to be able to do something
Yeah.
that's bringing us joy,
Mhm.
that we feel excited about,
Mhm.
and go from there,
Yeah. 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 You kind of have to. They say, you're the average of the top 5 people you hang out with, the podcasts you listen to, the books you read, and the people you talk to. And I truly believe that. So if you have that one person who's like, I don't think you can do it, or just kind of even just those little negative things, you don't have to completely, get rid of
Hmm.
them, but just maybe not quite as often. I think we've all had that one person or a couple people here and there
Hmm.
that you just, as hard as it is, being an entrepreneur, it can be lonely. It can be
Yes.
lonely, and there's times where you probably can't even really talk to your husband about a situation or a struggle that you're dealing with
Mhm.
because maybe they're the issue or the struggle that you're dealing with, and then you can't really talk to family and friends because they don't understand. So when they say, being an entrepreneur is lonely, it
Mhm.
really can be at times because I have you ever felt that?
Yes, and it is something I did not understand until I experienced it
Yeah.
myself. Like,
Yeah.
I'd always heard it like, "Oh, it must be really rough," you
Yeah.
know?
Like, oh, you're out there doing your own thing and you can just go hang out with whoever you want whenever you want. But it's not like that.
Correct.
Like, it's a mentally loneliness at times. Like,
Mhm.
physically, yeah, you might be able to go out there in public, but mentally, because you can't relate to somebody the way that you're going through your struggles. I mean, nobody else is going to be able to relate to you with where you're at in your business.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it can be very lonely, and you're just
Mhm.
like, holy moly, what do I
Yes.
do?
And I think that is then we need to be intentional to
Mhm.
find people, like you said, whether it's,
Mhm.
a couple more people to surround ourselves with that
Mhm.
get it and can encourage us and say, okay, I
Mhm.
see you're struggling a little bit. What's
Mhm.
going on? Now keep moving.
Mhm. Yeah.
Rather than allowing us to sit in a place or pull us backwards
Yeah.
from where we can and should be going.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really think you truly need to surround yourself with the people who want to see you succeed. Because there's people out there who say it, and there's people who truly want to see you kick butt. They
Yeah.
want to see you get to that number 1, not just number 2. Like, I want to see you get to
Yes.
number 1. Like, you've already made it to number 2 where
Hmm.
you probably never thought even that was possible. Set those goals to where you never think that that was even a possibility. You want to, what do they say? You aim for the stars to hopefully to land on the moon. So, I mean, you need to get to number 1, maybe
Hmm.
nationwide, whatever the case may be. But
Yep.
like, you really want to surround yourself with people who truly want to see you succeed and support you through and through.
You're so right. And I feel like it's such a gift when you find those people and you can
Mhm.
share those goals with them. A
Mhm.
couple of gals that we kind of call each other like our
Mhm.
running buddies, just
Mhm.
not physically
Okay, I
running,
was say I don't run, so
but in our business,
yes.
and I wrote a big, scary goal. And I
Yeah.
was like, I feel like if I said it to other people,
Mhm.
might be like, but you know what? We did
Mhm.
it and we hit it.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
I just totaled it up a couple of weeks ago, and we crossed 70 million in sales
That's
in the
amazing.
last 6 years. And like, coming from the social service world where you're just,
Like 70 million just seems, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't even have the words. People
Yes.
listening are
Mhm.
probably like, and I'm waiting.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't
Yeah.
have words.
Yeah. 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 And that's amazing. And so your next goal is to hit 150 within the next, I mean, on top of it, so you're at 70.
Hmm.
So let's say 150, and you need to hit that within the next 3 years. 2
Right.
years. Let's
Like,
just say 2 years.
those are
1
the
year. I don't
those
even
are the
care.
kinds of things that, yeah, it takes the right people
Yeah.
to be able to help you level up,
Yeah.
and just say,
Yeah.
okay, don't settle
Yeah. No.
because you've been gifted with
Yeah.
this opportunity, so
Mhm.
keep going.
Yeah. And you never really truly want to hit your goal, because if you do, well, then you didn't set it high enough.
Hmm.
So you hit that goal of 70, but now you need to hit like a goal and have a certain time frame. And
Yeah,
then if you're getting close to that goal within that time frame, you bump up that goal because
that's
you don't
right.
really want to actually hit it. I remember hearing that one time, like, oh, that's brilliant. Like, yeah, like you want to hit your goal, but in reality, you don't. You set it too low. Then you're not
Mhm.
putting yourself to where you truly your highest potential is.
Yes.
Um, so you've obviously talked a lot about your family, your history, where you were, where you're at now.
Mhm.
Is there anything that you could say to anybody? So we'll kind of get to that quote that I kind of
Okay,
told you about.
okay.
But is there anything that we didn't touch on that you would kind of like to say to somebody, or just kind of let people know about your business and maybe how they could even get involved with SeneGence if they wanted to?
Yes, absolutely. And the great thing that I appreciate about SeneGence is you can join as a distributor and, just order for yourself and get a great discount. Or
Mm-hmm.
you can think, like, okay, do I want to try this and
Mm-hmm.
maybe try to earn a little extra money and sell to friends and family?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you want that next level of, you know what? I want to replace my current income. I want a
Mm-hmm.
different type of environment.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that too.
Yeah.
It's just, I love that you make it work for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone out there is listening
Yes.
and like, oh, maybe I, should give this a try,
Mm-hmm.
you can contact me. And the great thing I think about what we do and like what you do
Mm-hmm.
is you just have the opportunity to grow in ways that you maybe wouldn't have
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah. I can 100% agree to you. Personally, professionally, spiritually, financially. I mean,
Yes.
you truly grow in every aspect, and you want to make sure that you're touching on all of those points because if one is lagging, you're going to be lagging altogether. So it just makes a big difference.
Yes,
It does.
absolutely.
It does.
Yeah, and I love our CEO and owner. She was a single mom when she started this business, and
Mhm.
she could have sold her products to retailers for an insane amount of money,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
she had a desire to help other women.
Yeah.
She came out of an abusive relationship,
Mhm.
and she wouldn't have been able to do that without her own business.
Mhm.
And she said, I want to give back for the rest of my life. So I will
Yeah.
never take this
That gives me
retail
goosebumps.
because
Ah.
I want to give other women the chance to change their lives.
Yeah.
And I tell Joni all the time, I'm like, while I might not have had the same background, you have
Mhm.
changed my life by
Mhm.
giving me this opportunity
Mhm.
that I can work from home
Mhm.
despite health struggles,
Mhm.
be in a good place financially,
Yeah.
love what I do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really such a blessing.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. So to kind of, I guess, to kind of go off of that, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I'm like, "Oh, without my phone
I
here,
know.
I'm, like, ready to send you a text."
Yes. So we'll attach your link and we'll tag you in it when this we'll
Perfect.
do all that. But anybody listening right here, what's your phone number? Can they call you on your cell?
Yes, and sometimes the easiest way is on Facebook. I try to keep
Okay.
most of my things public. keep the other
Yep.
things private, but you can
Yep.
find me Jenna Clark or 316 Cosmetics.
Okay.
And you can reach me at 402-942-4080. And
Okay.
I'm not great about answering on the first call,
Uh
but leave
huh.
me a message and I
Yep.
will
Or
get
shoot you
back.
a text because that's kind of how
Honestly,
I am
yes,
too.
I'm so
There's
busy.
so many
Shoot me a
and there's so
text.
many spam calls that
Yes,
you
I
just
got one today and I was like,
yeah,
bye.
that was not worth the 30 seconds of my life I'll never get back. So
Yes. So shoot me a text and I will be happy to help you. I do a
yes.
lot of skincare consults, a
Mhm.
lot of color matching.
Mhm.
And that's honestly my favorite part. And the people listening probably are like, well, if you saw me here, I'm not
Uh-huh.
like your makeup guru,
Uh-huh.
but I'm here for
Yeah.
the everyday girl
Yeah.
that wants to learn how to do things.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own level of
Yes.
skincare, makeup. Some people love a lot of makeup. Some people don't want
Yes.
a lot of makeup. So it's all in preference.
Yes, exactly.
Um, so what is the one piece of advice that you have heard that has helped you professionally in your career?
To just get started. You don't have to know all the things. You don't have to have all of the answers. Dip your toes in
Mhm.
because, the analogy of dipping your toes in, it's like, okay, I'm comfortable. I can
Mhm.
go a little bit more. So,
Mhm.
whether it is with a new business, whether it is in maybe a new relationship, like
Mhm.
go with your gut and keep moving. I tell my skincare customers the same thing, like, let's start small with
Yeah.
what you're comfortable with, and then we'll go from there and find what works for you.
Mhm.
So, big scheme of things, just get started
Just get
and
started.
go.
I love it. So I have
Mhm.
a tattoo that's one step at a time.
Is
And
it?
yeah, and I got it 10 plus years ago. I don't even remember, but because it always resonated with me, but it's just kind of like what you said, just get started, just one step at a time, dip your toes in, and it'll go from there if it's meant to
Yes.
be. So,
And keep moving, right? So stay
Yes.
consistent and don't give up too early.
If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And
Mhm.
that's really what it is. You don't really stand still because you're not keeping up with everything. So you
Yep.
have to always
That
keep
tide is
going.
going to carry you
Yep,
right
right
back.
back. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jenna, for being here. We'll get this out and promote it. And so, yeah, if anybody has any skincare, makeup, anything, get a hold
I'm
of Jenna,
here.
and she is here. If you want to sell it, distribute it, all of
Yes.
that, all those
All the
things,
things.
all the things. So, thank you so much for being here.
Yes. Thanks for having me.
Yes.